You know how like people will like watch like puppy and like kitten videos, like you know what I mean? I watch roller coaster videos. Yeah, like if I'm sad or like for any reason that people would like be like, hey, send me some cute puppy kitten videos, I'm feeling blah blah blah, I'm like, yo, send me roller coaster videos because that's what does it for me.
Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of the people who listened to that conversation, I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks so much for coming back. But for those of you out there who are new to the show, welcome. Please feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda in the fridge. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. I've been saying that every week to people, just letting people get mad at me because fuck people and people who can't take a joke. But I'm having a good time. Good energy in the room today. I'm sitting here to my left, the one and only Brittney Chantele. Make some noise for the internet. So for those of you out there that do not know, Brittney, why don't you let people know what it is that you do?
Yeah,
in one sentence, if possible.
Yes, I am a hip artist and visual artist, and yeah.
Tight. I'm a hip hop pop artist and visual artist, and yeah, that sums it up pretty.
That's it.
Pretty, songwriter, artist, performer. And one of the things that's like super cool about the stuff that you do is just like you're really active in the community. Yeah. And it's very much not the typical ego trip of somebody in the hip hop realm of things. It feels like, you do a lot to get other people involved in your projects and your performances and things like that. Totally. And like I said, you do community stuff and there's a whole lot of areas where we can, go into this conversation. But I think ultimately my vibe that I get from you is just that, you're somebody that is really focused on community and like using your art and your voice to, tell a bigger story and bring people together. Even though it is like a solo thing, it's still like, it's not all about me. It's about us.
Yeah, totally.
Word. So how long now? Let's just start at the beginning with the music stuff. Like, how did you get into doing everything?
I got out of like a really abusive relationship and towards like the end of 2015. And that was kind of like my awakening, if you will, where I was like, I need to do this thing because music has been my passion ever since I was a little kid. I started writing poetry when I was younger. I had a poem published in a book in 6th grade.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was always writing. I was always like pretending to perform. Like when I was little, I would walk around with my juice box in my hand and pretend that was a microphone. You know what I mean? So like, I think I always like wanted to do this, but just have so many different things that I let hold me back from going and chasing it,
I feel you.
And yeah, it just happened to be that my cousin was home visiting, and she was like, "Hey, you should come through the studio and see what we do." And she's an artist as well.
This was 2015.
This was like 2015.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, and she's an artist as well. She does like Christian, like R&B soul stuff. So I went through the studio and I was like, oh yeah, like I totally need to start doing this shit. Like, why have I been, not doing it? So I actually ended up made a session with the producer and started recording. And I put out my first official recorded song in 2016. And I did a mini EP, and it was like very centered around social justice and environmental justice, and I got a song about fracking on there, and like I didn't know what I was doing. I'll be 100% like I didn't know what was going on.
I've been doing this shit since I was in like fucking middle school. And I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. That's what's cool is like every day you wake up and it's an opportunity to know a little bit more.
Totally.
To keep learning. It's a reason to keep going.
Yeah. It's great. And it was just like, just getting my foot in the door. And
Like, sorry, but it's like, who wants to know everything?
That's true. Yeah, no, I don't want to know anything. Like, everyone always asks me, like, will you ever produce your own stuff? And I'm like, no, I don't. Like,
fair enough. Yeah.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah. That was like the start of everything. And then I think every project since then improved, which is like what I think the ultimate goal is, you know? So, now I feel a lot more centered and grounded within my art practice than I was before. I feel like I was beforehand making a lot of music for other people rather than for myself.
Sure.
I think that's like how it all started, you know? And I was kind of like, oh yeah, I'll make a song about fracking because fracking sucks. And I want to put that message out there. And like, I was passionate about it, but I also wasn't like making the song for me. You know, so now I'm in this place where I'm making music for myself and it's even more impactful. More people are coming up to me and saying that this such and such song has changed their life and helped them out and stuff.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You know, you as an artist or anyone as an artist, you have to find your voice. Mm-hmm. And that voice is why people are going to be coming to you for the entertainment or for the message or whatever, you know, like music is a conversation between you and the listener.
Absolutely.
And if you're just saying that something else that they've already had a conversation with somebody else, like what? It's like, well, I've already had this conversation. Like,
right.
What can you bring new to my life?
Right.
Like, what energy do you have that will resonate with me and I'll fuck with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it takes time to find that.
It does.
It's, you know, it's like being a baby of sorts. You know, it's like, how do kids learn how to walk? They watch other people walk and they figure it out. So it's like with music, it's like, well, I know I like music like this and I've heard songs like this, so I'll try something like this. And then just takes that time. So side note, rewind to the Juice Box.
Yes.
That's a dope music video idea that I'm going to give you. So put that in your pocket.
All right. No, I'm seriously. No, that is a good one.
And then also kind of talking about finding out, discovering this world that existed right underneath your feet, pretty much right in your backyard. You didn't know. Like, that's what is so cool. You know, prior to the music thing, before realizing that this whole world exists and this is something that I have to do, what were you doing for like a creative outlet? Did you have anything?
I was writing.
Okay, so just writing and keeping it to yourself and just...
I had notebooks. I mean, in middle school and high school, I still have them. Like, they're just notebooks with random pieces of paper, Post-it notes, fucking just random shit. And
also, I mean, the visual aspect of you is a big part of what you do as well. So was there anything visually that you're doing creative prior?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always was painting and I do abstract stuff. I do like a lot of different, just like, let me dip my hand in this paint and smear it on the paper. You know, like that's what, like, I mean, doing a lot of stuff like that.
That and a portrait of somebody is just as abstract and weird as what you're saying. Yeah. The whole world's abstract.
Yeah, that's real.
So that's real.
But yeah, I always was painting and just doing random weird shit. A lot of times like in class, but, and then, once I got to college, you know, feel like there's this whole part of my story that is going to be released, you know, on this upcoming project that I have, but I was in the military. So, kind of like right around the time when you're graduating high school and like, I mean, you don't know yourself when you fucking graduate high school, not at all. And if you started that journey, like you're in the very beginning of that journey of finding out who you are and what your real interests are and like what it means to be a friend and a good person in the world and so on and so forth. And at that time, I'm 18, I go to basic training and, you know, they say we break you down to build you back up. So I essentially, everything that I was starting to figure out about myself was just kind of like pushed down to the garbage bag and just like compacted down. And, you know, it's like when you don't want to take the garbage out, you know, and you just start fucking packing it down. And so I was I just wasn't me. I wasn't being real. So I went to college and I was in the Army National Guard. So I was able to go to college at the same time. And I found myself doing shit that like I didn't even like I was.
Yeah. Like what were you doing in school?
Like I did intramural basketball. Like like, I fucking hate basketball.
Oh, no.
You know? Yeah. Like I was just doing things just to be a part of a group, just to be a part of a team. And it really wasn't until my late senior year that I was like, oh, like I like doing pottery and I like ice skating and rollerblading and these things that I never did for myself, you know, and I was really starting to find out who I was. And I think that's a huge reason of why I wasn't recording any music at that time either. Cause I was like, oh yeah, you know, it's not me, you know, like no one around me was doing it.
Yeah.
So
that's a big part.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's just like your environment and the people that you choose to surround yourself with, or the people that you don't have a choice, like you're surrounded by, just makes such a huge impact on your character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, there's a couple things when people will approach me about like, hey, I want to start a podcast, or I want to start making beats. I want to do this and that. Mm-hmm. And one thing I always tell people is like, the main thing you need is just the passion.
Yeah.
Like if you actually want to fucking do it,
yeah,
you can do it. You can make it happen if you really give a shit.
Absolutely.
But the other thing is you need to take a good look at the people you're surrounding yourself with and make sure that those are the right people. Because once you start getting into this, you need people that are going to support you and not distract you from your work. Otherwise, they're just going to drag you down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that was a huge part of, you know, where I started in music is like I was, you know, excluding my cousin, I was surrounded by people who just like didn't have the same drive even, you know, like I felt like they weren't doing music because it's within them. I felt like they're just like, I don't even know. It's just
I mean, like being an artist isn't for everybody.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Being an artist is actually pretty fucking irrational and crazy sometimes when you think about it. It's like,
totally.
Why are we trying to do this?
Totally.
Like all the work that goes into it. I mean, like now, like you're a few almost 5 years in now.
Yeah.
Half a decade.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
You know, coming up, you do have an album release coming up here in late February. And, you know, over the years of your experience getting into this, you know now it's so much more than just like writing a song, recording it and putting it out.
Yeah.
There's all this other stuff that goes into it with, you know, marketing, promoting events, organizing events. And like you seem like a kindred spirit of me in terms of when you put together an event. It's not like, oh, we're doing a show. Like, let's have a fucking, let's make this way too extra. Let's be extra as fuck. And it's fun, but it's just like, it's so much work and you're relying on so many people. And it's hard because there always isn't like a lot of like money and budget and stuff there. So it's just kind of like, yo, I need like 1,000 favors from a bunch of people that barely know me, but please just, please help me.
No, it's real. It takes an entire team. It takes a community.
Yeah.
You know, it really does. Yeah.
So since I brought it up, why don't we talk a bit about the release show?
Yeah.
Just to promo that real quick, let people know.
Yeah, for sure. So I have an album coming out called The Golden Opportunity. And that album is about my military experience. Kind of like from the start, which in my opinion is like age 14, because I was in my freshman year of high school and we had a Marine Corps JRTC program that I joined.
Okay.
So that was kind of like the start of the brainwashing and that like.
That's kind of wild that they start talking to you about that shit that young.
It's crazy.
Where did you go? Where were you in school at?
I went to West Allegheny.
Okay.
Yeah, out by the airport.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's insane. If you really break it down and think about it, like why are their recruiters talking to underage kids without an adult present? You know what I mean? Like it's fucking weird.
You're not old enough to vote, but they'll fucking start talking to you.
Weird.
It's like you should be, if anything, they should be talking to kids about like voting and that sort of shit and like learning more about it.
How to write a fucking check.
Yeah, that's we can go into a whole fucking rabbit hole about that shit. Totally. But anyways, your experience.
So you know, it basically maps out my entire experience from age 14 to how I feel presently, because I was all about the military originally. So this album is called The Golden Opportunity. It's about my military experience. Produced by Remy Vega, co-written by Treble and OS. And the release party is going to be at the Thunderbird on February 22nd. All you have to do is remember 222, right place, right time. Doors open at 7 and music starts at 8. And we have DJ QRX, Treble and OS, and Saeed opening up for me. So
super cool. So with you mentioned being super into the military and things like that. Did you have like military in your family?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
you
my
grew
dad
up
was
around
in.
it.
Yeah, my dad was in. Both of my brothers are currently in. One's active duty Army, one's active duty Air Force. I have many uncles, cousins in right now. Like that, it goes deep throughout my family.
So I mean, that combined, like people being at your school telling you about it, combined with the family, I'm sure it just seemed very normal.
Yeah, it felt like, like I don't feel like my family ever was like, you need to do this. You know what I mean? But I feel like there was some sort of pressure there just because it's like this golden opportunity, like you're given your job training, you have a job, it's secured. It's, when you're in training, if I would have went active duty, then I would have been given, housing and a food allowance and so on and so forth. But I was Army National Guard. But anyway, that's like a big selling point of the military is like, we give you everything you need to be successful, to be a leader.
Sure,
and they make you think that that's like the only option coming out of high school, especially if you want 4 years of free college, which is like it's a huge thing. And you're getting so much pressure. Like I'll never forget being a junior in high school and just how much pressure there was on me to make a decision right then and there of what I'm going to be doing when I graduate in a year. Like, where are you going to school? Are you going to school? What are you going to do? Like, it was constant.
It's absurd.
And
especially to be doing that at like a time when like biologically everybody's changing so much and going through all this stuff. Like it's so much pressure to put somebody through. And now in retrospect, looking back on it, it's like, I can't fucking believe that we made it out.
Yeah.
How do people
seriously
deal with that shit?
Seriously.
I guess a lot of people don't,
Yeah. I mean, I look back and like there were teachers and guidance counselors that were like, oh yeah, you should join the military. And like they never were even in. And I'm like, how can you tell someone that they should do something when you never even experienced it? And like, I'm not going to lie. Like I have some resentment there for those teachers because it's like, yo, like y'all really like pushed me into this and I'm not going to blame it on them. But it definitely, when you're getting supported for this idea that you really don't have one single, there's no facts.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
A recruiter is going to tell you what you want to hear.
Oh, fuck yeah, you're going to get all these things, but they're not going to explain the nuance of what they're taking from you.
Yes, absolutely.
And like you're in school with all of these textbooks that are edited very specifically to tell a good story, and then you're being told a good story. It's just like, just be fucking honest, if anything.
Yeah. And that's really what this album is for me, to tell my story. But also I want teenagers and students and parents, teachers, guidance counselors to hear this, because I feel like it's going to give a more informed decision for folks who are thinking about joining. I'll never tell someone don't join the military. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life, just as like, I don't want you telling me what to do with mine.
Sure.
But I do believe that if I would have had someone say like, hey, I was sexually assaulted 4 times in my 7 years of serving. Hey, like I dealt with a lot of homophobia and there was a lot of racism and like lots of xenophobia that I witnessed. And like, it's not cool. Those like Army values that they say that everyone, upholds to, selfless service, respect, duty, all this stuff. It's a bunch of bullshit, quite honestly. And so like, if I had someone just that was real with me, I at least would have taken a little bit more time to make the decision to join, and I got 4 years of school. Cool. And I majored in something that I don't fucking care about anymore. So it's what did I really get out of this? Like I got a lot of trauma and
a dope album, maybe.
A dope album. Yeah, that's real. That's real. Let's hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I just feel like people need to be more informed before making this decision, because it's not just this like, it's not just this 1 year commitment, it's 4 to 6 to 8 years of your life at minimal. And 9 times out of 10, they'll give you some type of sign up bonus on your second time around when it's time for you to re-sign your contract. So you're going to be like, oh, well, I can get this $12,000. like tomorrow, if I sign this fucking piece of paper and stay in for another 4 years, like 9 times out of 10, you're going to do that.
Oh, sure. It's real easy to manipulate people like that. People hate change.
Yep.
So if you get them in some sort of a sense of security and feeling like they almost like are relying on this, then, well, okay.
Yeah.
I think that, I think it gets harder too if people get into the military and then have a family and they start like a thing where it's like, okay, now it's not just me.
Yeah.
I have other people counting on me, maybe a child or a spouse or something, and then it gets real complicated.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of benefits and perks for folks in the military who have family, and it's like, that's another thing they pitch is like, oh, do you have a spouse? Do you have kids? We'll take care of them, and that's a huge selling point for a lot of people,
They'll take care of everybody with money that we low-key don't have.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's another point that I try to make too, is that a lot of times their ways of taking care of issues is with money, and it's like money can't solve everything, and it's like, oh yeah, sure, your spouse got deployed and died, but like your spouse also had this really awesome life insurance plan. So here's $140,000 because they died. Good luck. It's like, cool. And also, like, what did they die for? And like, you can't even get an answer to that because it's like, why were we deploying people? Like, it's just, it goes so deep, and there's so many layers into it, so many rabbit holes to get into. But I tried to dive into several of them on the album, and just give people my perspective of my real life lived situations. Yeah,
it seems like an incredibly unique perspective. I'm sure. I don't know how many people were in the military that are now making music like you are in your position. So it's cool to tell that story. It's uniquely you. You can tell you're passionate about it, and that's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with a good old fun pop song about, like getting freaky or something, which I know you've done.
I have. Yeah.
So, but I think that it's cool to really dig in and do this, not only for the world, but also for yourself to kind of like maybe close the book on this chapter of your life and like, move forward.
Totally. It feels like a huge closure. It almost feels like an opening and a closure because, like when I first started this album, we had to take a pause because a couple of the songs are like really, really heavy. And I actually started remembering some things that I forgot. And it made the process really difficult in a lot of ways, but one of just like finishing writing the song, like, like finishing the second verse, like, holy shit, I just remembered this other thing and I want to include that in this song, but like, I'm also like really emotional right now. So we had to take several pauses in the production of the album.
And something that I've experienced when writing music that was like incredibly personal or heavy, maybe you experienced this too, is again, this is a conversation between you and the listener ultimately.
Yeah.
You do want to make music for yourself.
Yes.
But also you don't want to put something out there that's so heavy that it like frightens people.
Absolutely.
So did you have to find that balance of like ways to approach things that are still like honest and not sugarcoating, but being very like sensitive to the listener in a way? Maybe, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but
no, totally. No, I get what you're saying. I think that's where bringing Treble NLS on the co-writing in really helped. He's a great writer. He's a great co-writer, and like he can listen to my story, and because a lot of times, again, like these are emotional stories, and how do I take this 1 hour story and put it down into a 3-minute song? I have a lot of important things that I want to say that I want people to know and that I need to get off my chest as well. So like, how do I get all this into a 3-minute song? He's able to like look at that and kind of condense it and say, oh, okay, like I hear you on that, but we already kind of said that in this line.
Sure.
So let's scratch that and let's bring something else into it.
And the other thing I think that's probably complicated too. Well, again, I sometimes use incorrect words, but you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? Complicated about it is at the end of the day, you're still trying to put out a pop record.
Yeah.
So there needs to have that sort of like accessibility and simplicity in the songwriting that, you know, makes a pop song a pop song.
Yeah, yeah.
While still conveying the proper emotions and things. It still has to be catchy.
Totally. I think like we definitely moved more towards like, this is a hip hop album, because it ended up being to where like, we can't make this a pop album. You know, like it was just like, it's too heavy here, or like it's not really like, there's definitely like some catchiness to it, you know, like as like there's hip hop is catchy,
sure.
but it's definitely, let me just say this, it's definitely way different than A Fire on Venus, than my last project. Yeah.
Well, I feel like, because with that project, there's a lot more atmosphere on it. And I feel like there's a lot more space to just kind of, it's a vibe.
Yeah,
we'll say
it is. It totally is. It totally.
And
is.
I would imagine if you're telling, you know, getting more into storytelling, what better backbone than hip hop to get, and especially if you have a lot to say. Well, get them bars in.
No, there's definitely bars on this one. Yeah, this is on some of these songs is actually the fastest I've ever rapped before.
That's fun.
Definitely pushed myself. Treble pushed me to like, you know, kind of step outside of my comfort zone and gain some new skills, which is really awesome. So it feels good.
Yeah.
No,
that's great. And I love the idea of being able to go from project to project. Like I have a feeling that I want to convey, or a theme, and like you can like fit everything around that. And it may not sound exactly like your last project, but that's cool. Because again, it's a conversation between you and a listener, and we already talked about this.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I also, you know, have been in this kind of push and pull of like not genrering myself, and like I have a vault of just songs that I have started, and from my Word documents to pieces of paper to my voice recorder to my voice memos on my phone. I have so many ideas and song concepts, and like they fit into a huge span of genres. Like I even have some songs that like I would consider more on the punk side, to be honest. And who knows, like I know, you know, I don't really play any instruments, but who knows, like maybe I collaborate with a punk band later on and like put these songs out, you know what I mean? So like, I'm definitely like, I'm just at that point where I'm just doing music for me, and I'm doing what feels right. And that feels so good to just not be like, oh, I have to stay in this genre now that my Instagram bio says that I'm a pop artist, you know, like it's really, really nice.
Well, even like the definition of what pop is nowadays is so,
it's so broad.
It's super, super broad. I feel like if you're talking to me about pop, I'll just be like, okay, this is probably a verse, chorus, bridge sort of song. That's a pop song.
Yes, totally. Yeah.
And it could go, there's pop punk.
Yeah.
And there's R&B and then rap and whatever. There's a lot of different styles of music that can all be pop.
Totally. Yeah. That's a great point. And I think that now that there's so many genres and there's so many subgenres, it's like, even if many people have been like, oh, A Fire on Venus sounds more like neo soul, neo jazz, R&B to me. It doesn't sound like a pop album, you know, like, so there's this, I'm just like, listen, like, I'm sure I could fit into 20 fucking genres at this point.
I think the term pop gets a bad rep.
It does.
It's people think that you're immediately talking about Justin Bieber or Katy Perry or something, or Taylor Swift, but that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of great pop. The first 2 or 3 Madonna albums are fire.
Yeah,
and
that's real.
Speaking of artists that never really fit in a bubble, Madonna has objectively always been a pop artist, but she's done stuff all over the map stylistically.
Yeah, she has. That's true.
Or David Bowie.
Yeah.
Another one all over the place.
Yeah, that is true.
From, you know, just rock to techno to industrial to weird, like all over the place. Super fun.
Yeah.
At the end, it's always been David Bowie and it's always been Madonna, because they have a voice.
Yeah.
Regardless of what is surrounding them.
Totally.
Regardless of the landscape, they're still them.
Totally.
So it's always cool to just be able to find that voice and find people to collaborate with, especially in your case, since you have no interest in production or learning any of that stuff. You just want to focus on focus on you.
Never. I mean, like, that's not to say, let me say this. That's not to say that I wouldn't like take a course on music production. Like, I've actually been looking at like getting my master's in music production, like Berkeley Online or something like that. But in a sense of like focusing my energy on our project in like multiple different ways, production and doing also like writing the lyrics and performing and being a vocalist and like all these little slots to fill to make a project come to life.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do all that.
Well,
yeah.
I always I bring up, if life is a pie chart, you only have 100% of yourself to give.
Right.
So the more things you try to take on, not only every time you add something, you're taking a little bit away from everything else that you want to do.
Right. Totally.
So it can make it really hard. But on the flip, I always encourage people that are musicians to know as much as they can about the full process.
Absolutely.
Just in terms of being able to communicate with the people that they're working with better. That's
like my main thing, is because there's so many different things that you can do with. I mean, look at how much technology we have, and there's so many things that you can do with a song. And there's often times where I'm trying to, tell Remy like, hey, like I hear this thing in my ears and it's like, it does this like robotic thing. And then, he takes an hour trying to figure out what I'm trying to say, and like he ends up getting it, but it's like, it's my issue because I can't articulate. I don't have the words for it.
It would be easier if you were like, yo, like I have this idea, if we would like just put some extra compression and bit crush it and give me a little bit of reverb and a delay thing. Boom. And like, like, oh, okay, cool. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, instead you're like, I have this thing where it sounds like the, it's like,
and I have to like bring up someone's song and be like that right there, that, and like, it takes time. And I think like knowing the vocabulary and knowing what can be done, really, really would help me a lot. And that's mainly why I've been looking at, like getting some type of program under my belt.
It's also crucial too, because like sometimes the thing that's awesome about not being formally trained in a lot of things is that your brain works differently from me or from Remy or anybody else that makes beats.
Yeah.
Because we, at this point, we think everything has to be done correctly, right? Yeah. But the correct way isn't always the best thing for the song. So since your brain isn't like formally trained yet, it may be, if you decide to go down that road, you may think of something that is objectively wrong, but is better for the song.
Totally.
So if you can like have a little bit of an idea of like what it needs, but still not being too behind the curtain where you don't allow yourself to think of those outside the box things anymore, that's like the best place to be.
No, totally.
I've been trying to get myself back into a position of not over analyzing mixes and doing everything properly.
Yeah.
Like, cause there's that rawness. It's like the human element that gets kind of stripped away when you make everything too perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Remy and I have been kind of playing around on some songs where some things kind of drop behind the beat a little bit,
Oh, yeah.
And it's that less robotic feel, like it just feels good to the ears, like there's a different sensation that you get when you listen to music that isn't,
oh yeah,
on point, exactly on point.
It makes you move.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm always bringing up fucking roller coasters. It's like it's like a wooden roller coaster versus like a steel roller coaster.
Yes.
Like a wooden roller coaster kind of fucks you up a little bit more, but it's objectively funner.
It's a lot of fun.
Because sometimes like a lot of newer roller coasters, it's like the ride's done and it's like I flipped around and stuff, but did I ride anything?
Right.
This was like way too smooth.
Yeah.
This didn't even feel dangerous.
I'm so happy you said that, because I love roller coasters. I'm like a roller coaster enthusiast.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, my old man retirement goal is I want to join like the roller coaster enthusiast thing and like go on the buses and take the trips with all the other old homies.
I'm trying to do it. There's like a roller coaster guild that you can join.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do it.
I'm starting a roller coaster vlog.
Listen, send it to me. I'm ready. There's like, how like people will like watch like puppy and like kitten videos. Like, you know what I mean? I watch roller coaster videos. Yeah. Like if I'm sad or like even like whatever, you know, I don't know, like for any reason that people would like be like, hey, send me some cute puppy kitten videos. I'm feeling blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yo, send me roller coaster videos because that's what does it for me. That's what does it for me. Yeah.
No, I love theme parks. I love roller coasters. Yeah. So do you have a favorite roller coaster?
Are we talking about like anywhere?
Anywhere.
Pittsburgh?
Anywhere.
Yes. And I'm mixing up all of the names because there's so many names with steel in them. But there's a roller coaster at Dorney Park.
Okay.
That I just recently rode this past summer. And it's like steel. Is it this? Is it the Steel Force?
I'm not sure. I haven't been to Dorney Park.
I can't remember it because there's so many fucking names now. There's Steel Curtain, Steel Force, Steel Thunder, Steel like. Yeah. Oh God, but
Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. Is fire. It was the Mean Streak, the big wooden roller coaster,
yes.
And then they put steel rails on the wooden track and like added a bunch of like weird loops and stuff. It's fucking insane.
I don't think I've rode it since they did that. Though. Yeah, because it was a while ago when I rode it.
I was nervous about it because I loved the Mean Streak so much, but they did it justice. That ride is fucking crazy.
I have to go. I want to this coming summer. I want to hit Busch Gardens.
Same.
Yeah, I want to hit. We can go. I swear.
They got that new ride that's opening up.
Yes. I want to hit Busch Gardens. I also I want to go to Hershey Park.
Hershey Park's fire.
Yeah. And
have you been?
Yeah, but it was a while ago.
Yeah.
And then I also I love going to Cedar Point. So I want to go to Cedar Point, and it's been a little while for me there too. So yeah, but Dorney Park was cool. It was definitely cool.
Yeah, that's on the list. I want to do Busch Gardens this year.
Yeah.
And my big goal is I want to do Alton Towers. It's in the UK.
Yeah.
Cool. That's some money saving.
I might have to go there in like 2021.
Yeah.
I might have to.
Yeah. I don't know if it's gonna happen. We did Disney World last year.
How was it?
And I'd never been. I had a lot of fun.
Okay.
It's super whack for roller coasters.
That's what people tell me.
As a whole, it was a really fun time.
Okay.
Just because like I think that you might enjoy it in the aspect I did because everything you're in a giant performance.
Right.
The entire park, everything from people, giving you hot dogs to people operating the rides, like everything is a performance. So it's just so fun looking at it from like behind the curtain and be like, how do they make this operate so smoothly? It's so cool.
I have to check it out. I definitely I'm definitely making like some solid theme park plans.
Yeah.
Like every summer, I'm hitting this theme park no matter what.
Yeah. I definitely want to do Busch Gardens because I've never been and it seems awesome.
I was there one time and had a really shitty experience because I was at a military training and I went with a whole bunch of military people who like weren't roller coaster riders, and the lines, and I will say it was hot as hell and the lines were crazy that day, and the people that I were with were kind of like, I don't want to do that, and one of them was my ride. So it was like one of those situations where it's like I kind of had to like stick with them and like so I didn't get to ride too much.
Anytime I go to a theme park, it's like 4 people max. I do not fuck with groups at theme parks because it's just like... I've learned
my lesson. I definitely have learned because like people, when I say like, no, we're riding roller coasters, I feel like people don't understand what I'm saying. Like, I'm not fucking with the bumper cars. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like those bumper cars right there are the same bumper cars that are at whatever, like down the road here. Like I could ride those. I could find some place, indoor bumper cars here, like I'm not fucking with that. I'm trying to ride roller coasters, like that's what I'm trying to do. So like people don't get what I'm saying. Yeah.
Did you ride Steel Curtain?
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. Another 2 shitty experiences at Kennywood. I got there one time. I got there really late, and there was an hour and a half left before the park closed.
Oh, yeah.
And they closed the line of the ride. Yeah. And I was like, I went for like the Night Rider pass.
I gotcha.
Yeah. And I thought that I would be able to get on. Like it was the only reason why I went that night. I'm
sorry.
Yeah. Didn't get on. So
that's rough. I went opening day and waited in line for 5 hours.
Holy shit.
I just did it.
Yeah. It was great.
It's a good ride, but it definitely has that. It's so safe that at the end of it, I'm just like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Like, this was cool, but also like, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It almost just feels like it didn't happen.
That's like when I say they need to like take the adrenaline knob and just turn it up, you know? Like, there's something about a ride, you know, like when you have like the kind of wiggly harness, you know what I mean? Like, there's something about that. People think I'm crazy, but I think it's great.
Well, that's what's dope about like the Thunderbolt and the Jackrabbit and all this. Like, this is so raw.
Yeah.
But hell yeah.
Yeah.
The Thunderbolt's tight. That's probably my favorite ride in the park.
The Thunderbolt is really fun. I have a great time on the racer.
Yeah, the racer's sick.
I can't stop laughing when I'm on the racer because like it's just people just do funny shit on the racer. I'm not gonna lie. You know that sign that says "Don't stand up"?
Oh, yeah.
I stand up every time. I hope they're gonna come and arrest me now.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I've thought about for a long time. I want that sign tattooed on my leg.
Oh, that would be a great That's a great Pittsburgh tattoo.
Yeah. That's Yinzer as fuck. I actually wanted to call my roller coaster vlog "Don't Stand Up," but fucking Rick Seaback already took it for his Kennywood thing. That's okay.
I have to say. That's all I have to say.
I'm going with my second option, the double dip.
Love it. Yeah.
Which is still a good name.
Yes, it is. Yeah, totally. We'll send that
to
me.
So Rick Seaback, if you're listening, keep your fucking hands off my name.
Yo, send that to me whenever you get it.
I'm planning on like I'm gonna do because I'm a season pass holder at Kennywood, so I'm gonna start at Kennywood and then just kind of expand from there. It's just like I talk about again. We just spent fucking like 10 minutes talking about this shit on here. You're probably one of the only people that I've brought up a roller coaster, and they're like, hell yeah. I appreciate this energy coming back at me right now. So. I always bring up roller coasters because I like to think of songwriting as a good roller coaster. Like a song should have all of the dynamics and changes of a good roller coaster.
Totally.
And come back around. Like you start in the station. You have an idea of what's going to happen.
Yep.
But sometimes it's a little bit crazier than you think. And it slows down. It gets dramatic. Like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Yeah. And then at the end, it's like, I'm safe. Everything's okay.
Totally. No, I fuck with that idea. Yeah.
So moving forward now, I know obviously you're still finishing up this project.
Yeah.
But I imagine you're the type of person that's always thinking a couple steps ahead.
Yes.
Would you care to shine any light on maybe some ideas that you're thinking, once you release this album in February?
Totally. So I actually kind of plan to, in a way, exhaust this album. And what I mean by that is I love to talk, if you can't tell. And I love to public speak. And so what I would really like to do is I'm always down to tour, but I'd like to do a lot more speaking engagements. Either kick it off with like a song or end it with a song, but talk at universities, talk at high schools, talk at workshops, gatherings, retreats, whatever, and talk about the trauma that happens outside of deployment. So I want to talk about everything that happens before, from basic training, or from actually talking to the recruiters, when you're young, to basic training, to your job training, to like being in a unit. I want to talk to people about this stuff. And again, give them more information so that they can make a more informed decision about joining. So I really want to take this album and, of course, still perform it. Never not perform my album, but maybe in like 12 years I will. But you know what I mean? But like, I really want to take this and, I rebranded my website to have a form where people, if they're requesting me to speak at their event, they can, fill that out. So I'm trying to really just take this passion that I have to give people more information about this situation. And I'm trying to put it in a format where it's a performance, but also it's this conversation as well.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool, unique opportunity. And if you want to do it, fucking do it. The only person stopping you is yourself, right? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And the other thing too, with like touring and performing with what you do, I've seen you perform before, but not like a headlining big thing. Just like middling, supporting stuff. So I imagine if like you're headlining and doing a thing, you have a lot of extra stuff that you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
And that could be hard to take on the road.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I'm gonna go on the road, do I want people to see a stripped down version of my vision?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this movie's in theaters across the country, but everywhere else only gets to see half of the movie.
Right. Totally.
Like, that's fucked up. It's like I would almost just rather not even try to play if I can't do the whole fucking thing.
Absolutely.
Because it's not going to come off right.
Yeah. And I mean, like, that's one of the reasons everyone asked me why I didn't tour with A Fire on Venus, because I had the opportunity at the New Hazlet Theater where they gave me the theater, and I had lighting designer, stage designer, costume designer, and I had a band and 5 dancers and backing vocalists, and it was an amazing production, and that is ready to be picked up and taken to any city, like in reality, like everything's set. The reality of it is, though, is that people ask me why I didn't tour on with that is because of money. Like, people don't realize if I have 5 band members, 5 dancers, 2 backing vocalists, not to mention I need to bring someone for sound, someone for lighting with me, most likely.
You need a space that's big enough to accommodate it.
Like, there's a lot of these factors. I can't ask all of these people, 20-some people, oh, hey, leave your full-time job and leave what you're doing here in Pittsburgh to come on the road with me with no money up front. Like, how are they going to pay their bills? So like, how am I going to transport 20 people?
Yeah, no, whenever we do like full production Sykes and the New Violence shows, it is like, lighting, projectors, costume changes. Like, it's a fucking nightmare. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to do it properly.
It's a lot.
Finding like most of the places that we play in Pittsburgh, the stage isn't even big enough to really hold what we need. And that's nothing against the city. It's just our ideas are too big. So we're fucking nincompoops.
I mean, that's like where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Because
so it's like, how do we grow from here?
How do I take a theater performance where you have all this space for dancers and for me to interact with the dancers, space for my band? How do I pick this up and just immediately just plop it into another city at a theater that can accommodate us with, again, funding or resources to do that? Like, it's not doable right now. And so people ask me, why didn't you take it on tour? That's why. And I'm not down to do it half-assed. Like, I had this vision. The vision came to life for 2 nights in Pittsburgh, and it was beautiful and it was amazing. And I don't regret any of it. I'm not going to scale that down and do a half-assed version of it in another city, because that's just not what I want to do with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's super important. If you don't want to do something, don't do
it. It's like
it's just not worth it, because then like you'll just start feeling all bitter about the stuff.
Yeah,
and it's gonna fuck up all your energy.
I imagine, like, if I was in another city and I stripped this down and didn't bring my dancers, I didn't bring this lighting designer, and I just had my band and me. People, afterwards, I would just be like, no, really, like, you should go on YouTube and watch the video of what we did on in Pittsburgh.
I've caught myself doing that shit, and I need to stop fucking doing that, because like, we'll play shows and people were like, that was dope, and instead of me just being like, thanks, I'm like admitting to people they didn't even ask for it. I'm like, yo, you should see it with the whole thing,
right? Yeah.
And then people were like, oh.
And that's like
just learn how to take a compliment.
Totally. But I also don't even want to be in that position where I'm thinking like, you should have saw the Pittsburgh one. It's on YouTube. Go watch that. Like, that's just not where I want to be with it. So yeah. If I'm going to tour, I want to do it the way I want to do it, because like you said, why do something you don't want to fucking do?
Yeah. Especially now in this, I think that, the whole, at least now, especially with this new project that you're putting out, which is eventually basically an album about doing stuff that you didn't really want to do in one way or another. Yeah. It's like, now that you're in an opportunity and a position to finally tell your story and live your life the way that you want to live it within reason. It's like, why fuck up that now?
Why do that? Why? It's like, it would be me moving backwards. Yeah.
And I think that it seems like, you have your head on straight, and there's a lot of cool opportunities that are coming your way and people that do want to work with you. And it's a slow grind.
Yeah.
But looking back on the past 5 years, I would say you've done a whole hell of a lot of work in a short amount of time. Like, would you imagine that you'd be sitting in the position you are now when you stepped into that studio?
Hell no.
Back then?
Hell no. Yeah. Absolutely not. I mean, like, just getting supported through grants, you know, like I never would have imagined.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I've noticed that you have had support like that. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Totally,
like how that came to light?
Yeah, so this album, The Golden Opportunity, is actually supported through the Pittsburgh Foundation and the Heinz Endowments with the Advancing Black Arts in Pittsburgh grant. So, you know, like I was like, hey, like I have this idea and I want to get this message out to people, and like I need money.
Yeah.
You know, and like I'm a big advocate for paying people. You can only ask for favors so many times, you know? And so like Remy needs paid, treble needs paid, the mastering person needs paid. Like, you know, like there's a lot of different, there's a lot of different things that go into making an album, and it's costly. It's costly as fuck. And after A Fire on Venus, I was like, holy shit, I dropped a lot of fucking money, you know, and like no regrets. But when I look at my Excel spreadsheet, I'm like, holy fuck, that was a lot of money. So I needed support. And I applied to the grant, and I ended up getting it. I got awarded $12,000 for support of the album, which like was, you know, I can't even explain the feeling.
When you were like, did somebody approach you, or did you like look into this stuff yourself?
I've been looking into grants for a while.
Because I think that's obviously it's a thing that exists because you got it, right? I mean, not everybody that's watching or listening. I mean, if you feel like you have a good fucking reason, look into it. That is an opportunity. It's like you'll get a lot of naysayer shit about like, oh, there's no opportunities in the city to do anything. And it's just like, are you even looking?
Yeah. Yeah. And like I think the biggest point of advice that I was told and took and ran with, and then thus had produced these outcomes of me getting supported, is when you write a grant, when you apply for a grant, don't write as if, how should I say this? Don't write the way you think people want to read it or hear it. You know,
it's like writing a song.
Yes. Yeah. Like write as if you were talking the way that you talk. So like, you know, don't, to whom it may concern, I have an idea for an album that will bring to light, like, you know, just be like, hey, yo, my name's Brittney. I grew up in blah, 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 blah. And that, you know, relates to this because of this. And, you know, just cut the bullshit. Literally just cut the bullshit. Like, to put it plain and simple, cut the bullshit, put your idea out there, be real and genuine. Don't try to fucking like search for these little connections and be like, oh, well, it will help Pittsburgh because of this. Like be real. Like, if you think it will help the Pittsburgh community because of this, then yes, say that. But don't like, they know when you're bullshitting, like 100%. Like, they know when you're bullshitting. They know when you're not passionate about something. They know when you're trying to be somebody you're not. So just be yourself, write the way you would talk, and put your idea out there. And honestly, it does take multiple tries to get funded. Not for everyone. Sometimes it'll be your first application ever and you'll get funded, but
you gotta learn to take a no.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, like that, I think it's cliche now because it's said so often, but don't give up. Just because you get denied once, don't give up. Keep applying, you know, like it really, really helps. I mean, I applied to the Advancing Black Arts twice and I got it on my second try. So it was because, I mean, I've had this idea for this album for a really long time. I needed to fine tune some things. And I also needed to be real in the way that I was applying, because I was talking as to whom it may concern.
And it may not even be you 100% either. It could be timing on their end. And
absolutely.
Like, you know, how much budget they have to allot to certain things. So, I mean, timing is always so crucial on something. You know, you could send the same message. Oh, you could have sent it a week earlier and maybe you would have, oh, okay, well, we had that. There was a little bit of money left in the budget, and then somebody else sent a message before you, and then they got the opportunity. The golden opportunity, if you will, before you did. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it's really true. And I think that, you know, like, it comes down to believing in what you're doing. Like, and again, like, I think that's a cliche thing that a lot of people say is like, you need to believe in what you're doing. But like, I finally grasped what that meant in 2019. Like, because if you listen to my past projects, like, I'm not going to say that they suck, but I'm not necessarily like, yeah, fuck yeah, faith in humanity. Like, because I didn't believe in what I was doing, you know? And well, I mean, like, you grow and you change and you realize some things about yourself. And
well, I imagine there's different levels of belief in yourself too, because there's belief in yourself in terms of like the words that you're putting on the paper. And then there's also the belief in yourself just as a performer, regardless of the words, like being able to write something with confidence and then like perform it with confidence and capture the right thing. That's like, you know, you're always trying to capture that lightning in a bottle, and it's really, really hard to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, just be real and like believe in your project and your vision and your goals, and then apply.
Well, I think that it's like, you know, patience, persistence, and positivity.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid just to tell people about what you're doing. I think that that's one of the hugest hang-ups for people that I know that are really talented artists, regardless of talent, like people that are just passionate. They want people to know what they're doing, but they don't tell anybody about it.
No, that's like, another thing. Yeah.
Nobody's gonna like those songs. Nobody's has a fucking a telepathic link to that hard drive on your computer with all them songs you're not releasing.
Yeah.
Just put them out.
That's real. I think you said it perfectly. People can't read your mind and know what you have going on. And, you know, like that comes down to like your elevator pitch and, you know, like.
And I think it's crucial too, just to let people know about what you're doing, because maybe I'm telling you about this idea that I have and you don't give a shit.
Right.
But your friend is looking for somebody that's, you know, you never know who you're talking to or who they know.
Yep.
So
no, that's
just
real.
Make those connections. I mean, don't be annoying. Like I never walk up to people like, hey, how's it going? My name is Sykes and I do this and this and this and this and this. Please help me.
Yeah, but there's a difference. There's a difference.
It kind of goes back to the topic of surrounding yourselves with the right people and the environment that you're choosing to be in from day to day. And if you're in an environment where if you're going out to shows that you're not playing, but you know there's going to be like cool creative people there, and you just rap with them for a bit about stuff that you're working on, ask questions, figure out what they're working on, because you never know. They might be doing something that you need. Like, oh shit, you know, but you're a dancer? I need dancers.
It has to be genuine.
Yeah, totally.
I have to say that because there have been so many people that come up to me and they're like, hey, what's up? Yeah, I got this and this is going on. Oh, but like, what do you do? Oh, that's cool. Okay, have a good night. And I immediately am like I don't need to talk about myself, but the way that they approach that conversation.
Oh yeah.
You know, I was like, that was weird.
I've been like out at the bar.
Yeah.
And like somebody like, well, might be maybe like me and you are at the bar and we're talking about music stuff, and then somebody over here overhears it and they're like, yo, I heard you do music stuff. I do music stuff too. Check out my SoundCloud. I got like 12,000 down, like way too much information at once. Like,
yeah. It's like
who are like, hi,
right?
What's going on?
Right. It's like, what's that saying? Like, you can lead something to water to drink.
Lead a horse to water.
Yeah, but you can't make it drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, like just pass a business card. And I don't know. It's just, I think it just comes down to just being genuine.
Well, I mean, that's the thing too, is like, it's hard to say because that person, it's an awkward situation learning how to talk to people.
Absolutely.
So you need to have some empathy to an extent. It's like, even though you're kind of being an asshole right now, you may not be trying to be an asshole. You just don't know a better way to approach this conversation.
That's totally real. Yeah. I just like, you know, I think it's a vibe too, you know, like you can feel when people are like, it's like that leeching feeling, you know, it's like, yo, why you being a leech right now? You know, because like I'm always down to check out new art. I always am down. I'm always down. But like if you're leeching, it makes me feel like I don't really want to check your shit out. Like, you know, and like that's just, again, that comes down to just like knowing how to bring it up, knowing how to talk about it, knowing how to like not be weird about it. And it's like,
it's one of those things where most of the time, a really productive conversation that I have with a stranger or an acquaintance, it's like after the fact, I'm like, oh, that's dope. That happened. Yeah. I didn't even like, you don't even realize that it's happening.
No, totally.
And then.
Totally. And I have to say, like, I've been the leech. Like, I have been the leech 100%. Sure. Like, I was at a show, at like a large scale show, like someone very, very prominent, and they had a meet and greet afterwards, and I fucking had you already know where it's going, and I had a fucking copy of my EP.
I've done the same shit
in my backpack. And a sticker and a business card, and I stuffed it into the fucking CD sleeve, and I was like, hey, nice to meet you, that was a great show, here's my stuff, I'm an artist and my stuff is on every platform, and like this is the album that I just put out, and this album is about social justice and environmental justice, and I talk about fracking, and like here's the stuff. And they were literally like, cool, thank you for coming to the show. And like, you know what they probably did with that fucking CD? Threw that in the trash. And you know, I kind of don't blame them.
No, I've done the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's so hard because it's like, you never know.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that that's the wrong way to approach things until you unfortunately do it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, fucking up in a relationship or fucking up at school
on a
or
date.
Like you kind of got to make those mistakes, and then now you have a reason to believe like, oh yeah, I know this is the wrong way to approach it because I've been this idiot.
Absolutely.
And we're only human.
Totally. And you know, like something that I recently brought up on my social media is that I've been getting a lot of like requests, not a lot, that's an exaggeration, but I've been getting a couple of requests to feature on people's songs, and like I can tell they never even listen to my music. Like
people that ask to come on the podcast to like, it's God, like people will like hit me up. It's like, okay, like, and then they're like, yo, so like we're gonna bring our instruments and stuff. It's like, that's not what this is.
Yeah.
Or they show up and they're like, oh, it's video too. Like I'm not ready for this. It's like, you hit me up to be on the show.
Right. Yeah. It's
because like, how'd you find out about the show? Because you saw a video that was posted, right?
Right. Yep. It's like, come on now, make the connection. Yeah. Like
sorry,
I had someone.
no,
you're fine. You're fine. Yeah. Like I had someone hit me up, and like I was like, you know, I entertained it, and I was like, yeah, send me the song, and it was like, got my Lamborghinis and my bitches, and I'm like,
cool.
Oh.
Sure.
I can't be on that song. Like you don't.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, like 9 times out of 10, when someone hits you up for a collaboration, they don't know you. You know what I mean? Like they never hung out with me. They never went and got tea with me.
But they at least know your fucking music.
I would hope. I would fucking hope.
No,
like,
I mean,
it was like,
they probably saw you like on the paper or something like that. And we're like, that's it.
Totally. And that I can't do it. I can't do it.
No, it's bullshit.
So like, that's like more so what I mean about that genuine aspect. You know
there's
what I mean?
a whole aspect of that style of like music, the Lamborghini bitches music, we'll call it, whatever genre. Where it's not about content. It's all kind of like clout and vibe.
Yeah, totally.
So it's like you could like have done anything on that track and it wouldn't have mattered what you said.
Would not have mattered.
It's
at
just
all.
they wanted your name
totally
on like, you know, the feature.
And that's weird because like people are acting like I've won like 5 Grammys. Like y'all need to chill out.
Sure.
Just because I was on a fucking city paper or whatever the fuck, like that's cool, and don't get me wrong, like I love that I had that opportunity, and I love the city paper, and I love all of them, but like don't approach me like I'm gonna make you famous. That's fucking weird.
Like, do you name me 5 other people that you've seen on the city paper in the past year?
Yeah, I mean,
it's cool, but it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's just because like you're connected with music and you know who I am, so now it seems big, but also it's like
it's just weird. It's really, really weird. And it creeps me out. If anything, it creeps me out. Like, I'm just like the one word I come up with is just like, ew. Like, like, what do you think I'm going to do for you? I mean, Not that much, honestly.
No, it's inevitable, and that's what I like try to tell people about the show too. Is this is like this is a really cool thing. It's like I do this because I love doing it. I love talking with other artists and comedians or people that own restaurants, whatever. People doing cool shit.
Yeah,
and we put it out there for the world. People listen to it, and it's not like huge. I'm not like this is like the biggest podcast on the planet.
Right.
But there's more people that listen to this show on a weekly basis than actually go to any given local show.
Totally.
So all things considered, it's tight.
Yeah.
But it's still like, don't like hit me up to come on my show that you've never listened to because you think this is going to be some huge step for you to be here. And then like fucking people that show up, they've never listened to the show. They have nothing to say.
Yeah.
And I'm like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Like we've been going for over an hour already and it feels like it's been 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's been people that it feels like I've been sitting with them for 3 hours and it's been 10 minutes. It's crazy.
Yeah. So like,
but also it's like empathy. I get it. It's just like,
no, totally,
not everybody is malicious. Some people just don't know.
Totally. And like I said, like I was that person. Like I will never say like I'm perfect. I've been there and done that. And that's why like I think maybe I even cringe more when I see it happen because I'm like, it's like kind of like that that embarrassment fact, like when you're watching a movie and like you get that embarrassment for like the character and it's like, ooh, like because like I remember me doing that. And it's just like, it's not cool. Just be genuine. Just be genuine.
Yeah. So I'm not interested. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The whole like that's the thing that always like rubs me the wrong way about like so many songs that are like super feature heavy because it's like okay, it's like where not all the time, but most of the time I feel like there's just like a severe lack of art and it's just like we're just putting popular things together so people will listen to it.
Yeah.
And for me, for whatever reason, maybe it's corny, but I want a little bit more meaning out of my music.
No, that's
real. If there's two people that do a song together and it has a consistent theme and it makes sense for this track to exist, that's awesome.
Totally.
But if it's just like you talking about yourself and then somebody else talking about themselves and then somebody singing a hook that has nothing to do with either thing, but it's just like three popular people, it's just like this is an advertisement.
Yeah.
It's like I'm listening to a commercial.
It definitely happens. And that's like what I didn't want to happen with this person hitting me up.
But it's inevitable though.
It's like,
it's part of being in this world. People are going to, either try to leech or just may not even be a leech. They're just they're gonna want to be a part of. Whenever you find success, regardless of how big or small it is, other people are going to want to be a part of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just like, I don't know, get your networking skills up. That's all I have to say. Get your networking skills up, just if you're going to ask for a collaboration, make sure you know who you're asking. Make sure you're asking with purpose. Make sure you're not expecting for it to be like a free feature either. Like if you don't have the money, just be upfront about it, like, hey, like I don't have the budget to offer you anything, and I understand if that, makes you not want to be a part of it. Yeah, but, just be real.
There's real like corny, but like efficient business tactics that you could use and just say like, hey, like, we don't got much of a budget for this right now, but like I really want you on this track because it's about this. I think that, it vibes really well with you and what you're doing. And, we're going to, release it on Spotify and I have this many monthly listeners and I got this many followers on Instagram and like we'll help push your stuff out there, share some stuff. Maybe we could play a show, cross promote that way, do a cool track. And like, again, like neither of us are making any money off this, but we may be able to expose each other to fan bases because we're making music that's similar enough that, we could help each other out and we network. And that's a good positive way to do a collaboration.
Absolutely. And, I had someone hit me up like 4 months ago and they were like, hey, I know you don't know me. I have an album that's not coming out until 2021, but I heard your stuff and I really want you on a track. Would you mind meeting up for coffee or tea with me so that we can chat? I'm like, yes, absolutely. Let's do that. Because now there's time. We have a lot of time until the project comes out. I can get to know you, which honestly will probably make what I bring to the project better.
Yeah.
You know, for your project, because it's your project, not mine. I'm featuring on your song. So like I have time to get to know you better and get to know what you're trying to do with this album and what you're trying to do with the song. And like now I can provide you a better product.
Yeah. And even outside of all of that, you're just making a human connection, which is beautiful. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. No, it's we're getting ready to record a new album with Sykes and a New Violence. And I write a lot of the music, and then I have my band members come in, they add their things to it, and it becomes like a collaborative thing. I can record my own vocals, but I hate recording my own vocals. It's just really hard to get in the zone. Can you imagine like, yo, start, stop.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard.
It's too much.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find a producer that I can trust that I haven't worked with before to do this, just to get a new experience. And like somebody that I'd reached out to said they were down to do it. I have like a lot of respect for their work and stuff they've done. And I was like, cool, like I could send you these demos that I have so you can get an idea of what's going on. Maybe we can link up and listen through it because I want to get your input. And they were just like, nah, I'd rather just like, I don't like to think too much beforehand. I just kind of want to like do this, like just show up and we'll start recording. And it's just like, that's not the energy I fuck with at all.
Yeah.
Like that's like, I'm not trying to overthink things. It's just, I just want to meet face to face and let you know 100% what I'm trying to accomplish with this. Yeah. So we're on the same page before we enter the studio. Totally. So we can like, I want you to know what you're getting into and I want to know what I'm getting into working with you. So it just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, totally. And then now you know, like maybe that's not the right way to go.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
But those are things that you only really figure out until it's happened the wrong way.
Yeah, totally.
Before experience.
Absolutely.
It's super crucial.
Yeah.
So speaking of experience, we're both an hour older now.
Yeah.
Our listeners are an hour older at this point. I feel like we could chat for a lot longer.
Probably.
But, you know, it gets to a point where it's best just to leave them wanting more.
Totally.
If you will.
Absolutely.
You'll come back sometime, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll go ride some roller coasters.
Hell yeah.
We'll talk about that sometime.
Hell yeah.
That would be tight.
Maybe like get a GoPro or something.
I was thinking it would be really fun actually for if that roller coaster thing takes off to do a GoPro and like ask people questions on roller coasters.
Oh, it'd be so great.
How hysterical would that be?
So much fun. Yeah. I'd be down. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before I do my outro, let people know where they can find you on the internet.
Totally. So, basically, you can search me Brittney Chantele on Google. I have my website, BrittneyChantele.com. I'm on almost every social media platform. I have Brittney Chantele. My music is on every single streaming platform, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes. It's even on like Target Music.
Word?
I don't know, but it's on there. And I'm not trying to hate if you use that, but it's on every single music streaming platform. And yeah, my name's Brittney Chantele, BrittneyChantele. Yes.
And that is all, folks. Thanks so much for listening. One more time, Brittney, it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
It was so nice getting to chat with you.
Likewise.
Hell yeah, that was the shit. Anyways, I'll be back again in a couple days with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the beat 2020. Whoop, whoop. Thanks for listening. And we are done. Let's fade this shit out. Yeah. That's it. That's a podcast.
Word. Cool. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome so much.